I remember a quiet afternoon just a few years ago when I was sitting on my porch waiting for my grandkids to arrive. I was 76 and still carried myself with the confidence that comes from having lived through enough ups and downs to know a thing or two about family. But that day, my youngest granddaughter texted me, "Sorry, Grandpa, I can't make it." She said she had a school project, but deep down, I felt a wave of worry. Was she really busy, or had I done something to make her think visiting wasn't worth her time? All I'd ever wanted was to offer her the wisdom that only comes with age. Yet somehow, our conversations had grown stilted, and I realized I might be doing something that gently pushed her away without even knowing it. Many of us over 75 feel a deep-seated yearning to remain involved in the lives of our grandchildren. We love them fiercely and want to support them, but the world is changing so quickly, it sometimes feels like we're trying to keep up with new technology, new values, and new social norms that shift by the week. We see our grandchildren glued to their phones, speaking in internet slang we don't understand, and living such busy lives that we wonder if there's still a place for us in their day-to-day routines. That pang of disconnect can be particularly sharp, making us question our own role and purpose. It's painful to think about what could happen if we don't find ways to bridge that gap. We risk losing the warmth and closeness that have always made family bonds special. We risk fading into the background of their busy lives, only seeing them during obligatory holiday visits when everything feels rushed. On a deeper level, there's the fear of our legacy slipping away. If we can't pass on our experiences and stories, will those treasured lessons disappear? It's no exaggeration to say that the relationships we build with our grandchildren can shape not only their future, but also our sense of meaning in the years to come. Today, I want to share 6 surprisingly common mistakes grandparents tend to make after 75. Mistakes that, once corrected, can transform your bond with your grandchildren into something more joyful, comforting, and enduring than you might have thought possible. We'll talk about misunderstandings that push them away, unconscious habits that sabotage the connection you've worked so hard to maintain, and simple, practical steps you can take to ensure you remain a guiding light in their lives. I've seen these principles work wonders in families who thought they'd lost all hope of rekindling closeness. I'm not saying this lightly. After decades of seeing how seniors interact with their grandchildren, and after gathering insights from family therapists, community counselors, and other experienced elders, I've noticed patterns that hold true whether your grandchildren are in their terrible twos or rebellious teens. The beauty is that real change doesn't require expensive gifts or complicated schedules. It's about adjusting your perspective and approach in ways that kids today, and the adults they'll grow into, genuinely respect and appreciate. Before we dive in, I want to make a small request. If you find the following insights helpful, please let me know by typing 1 in the comments. If something doesn't resonate with you, type 0 so I can learn and bring you better content in the future. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you never miss a chance to strengthen the bonds in your family. So let's begin with the first mistake many of us never even realize we're making. It's a trap that's so easy to fall into when our hearts are full of good intentions. The first big mistake often comes disguised as kindness. We sometimes overcompensate with gifts, money, or constant offers of help, thinking this will show our love and keep our grandchildren close. The bold statement here is that showering grandchildren with material gestures can actually weaken the emotional bond over time. Conventional wisdom says, if you just give kids what they want, they'll be grateful and stay around. But the common misconception is that gifts alone translate into love. The truth is, children and teenagers of any era can sense when attention comes with strings attached, even if those strings are unspoken expectations of gratitude or reciprocation. And if they feel pressured, they may start pulling away. I think of Lorraine, who was 78 when she realized she couldn't win her granddaughter's affection with lavish presents anymore. Lorraine had grown up in a time when money was tight, so she was thrilled to be able to buy her granddaughter expensive gadgets and clothes. At first, it seemed to work. Her granddaughter was overjoyed each time she received a new item. But after a while, the visits became shorter, the calls less frequent. One day, her granddaughter said, "I appreciate all you've given me, Grandma, but I just wish we could talk about what's going on in my life without turning it into a shopping trip." It was a heartbreaking moment for Lorraine, who truly believed she was doing her best to help. The surprising insight is that grandchildren, especially in their teens and beyond, crave genuine emotional connection more than possessions. Receiving too many gifts can sometimes send the message, I don't really see you, but I know I'm supposed to give you something. A practical step is to replace at least one physical gift with a dedicated experience gift. Offer them an outing to a local museum where you can share stories about your life experiences, or plan a simple family dinner where you cook a favorite childhood dish together. Ask them what new dessert or recipe they might like to try and learn it together. This becomes a shared activity filled with conversation and genuine exchange. The emotional benefit is enormous. By showing you value time and conversation more than material items, you're telling your grandchildren they are worth your genuine attention. That is a priceless message that sticks with them far longer than any piece of clothing or new device. They'll remember the moments you spent side by side, the laughs you shared over burnt cookies, or the photo you took together in front of a historical landmark. Those are the experiences that weave real closeness between generations. The second mistake is something many grandparents stumble into for fear of seeming out of date. We try too hard to be cool and in sync with today's culture. The bold statement here is that trying to act like you're part of their generation can actually erode respect and authenticity. Most seniors think that to stay connected with their grandkids, they have to learn all the latest slang, follow the same music trends, and participate in every fad. But the truth is, grandchildren don't need you to be another 15-year-old best friend. They value you for your life experience and distinctive perspective. Take Marvin, who was 80 when he decided he wanted to impress his 16-year-old grandson by learning the newest dance challenge that was trending on social media. While this brought a laugh or two initially, Marvin soon found himself feeling uncomfortable in an attempt to appear hip. His grandson picked up on it and confessed, "Grandpa, it's funny when you dance around like that, but I like it even more when you tell me about how you used to fix cars or what high school was like for you back in the day." The misconception is that grandchildren will only find you interesting if you can mimic their peers. The surprising truth is that they often crave a guide who can offer a different viewpoint. If you act like you're just another friend their age, you risk losing the very wisdom and stability that makes you uniquely valuable. Instead, share stories from your past. Talk about how the world was different, or sometimes surprisingly similar, when you were young. Invite them to think about how technology has changed relationships, how moral values have evolved, and how certain challenges, like feeling left out or uncertain about the future, are timeless. A practical suggestion is to pick one aspect of modern culture your grandchild loves, maybe a particular type of music or a popular show, and learn just enough to ask intelligent questions. Instead of pretending you're a die-hard fan, let them teach you. That act of curiosity can create bonding moments. You become a respectful student rather than an awkward imitator, and they become the proud teacher who shares a bit of their world with you. On an emotional level, grandchildren gain an anchor. They see that you're interested in them without losing sight of who you are. The relationship becomes an opportunity for mutual respect. You respect their youth, and they respect your experience. That mutual exchange is far more fulfilling than any attempt to keep up with fleeting trends. If you're still here and finding this conversation helpful, comment 2 below to let me know you've made it this far. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe now so you won't miss upcoming discussions about staying close to the people you love, even as the world keeps spinning faster. Your support really matters. The third mistake comes from a place of pride and protectiveness. Refusing to acknowledge you sometimes need help. While that might not sound like a typical grandparenting mistake, it can deeply affect how your grandchildren view and interact with you. The bold statement is that trying to appear always strong and never vulnerable can quietly push your grandchildren away. Conventional wisdom might say, never let them see you struggle. You're supposed to be their rock. But the reality is, children actually learn respect and empathy when they see that you're human too. Consider Beatrice, 77, who lived alone and insisted on maintaining her big garden without ever asking her grandchildren for assistance. She strained her back and ended up in the hospital for a few days, never mentioning her discomfort to anyone until it was too late. Her grandson felt hurt when he finally found out. "Grandma," he said, "I would have loved to help. I feel like you don't trust me if you won't share your struggles." That moment made Beatrice realize she'd been depriving her grandson of an important life lesson, the chance to support someone he loved in a tangible way. The misconception is that showing vulnerability undermines your authority. The surprising insight is that a balanced dose of honesty about your limitations can deepen empathy and respect. A practical approach is to tell a grandchild, "I'm planning to rearrange the furniture, but I could really use your strong arms if you have some time to help." Or perhaps, "I've been trying to figure out this new app on my phone. Maybe you can teach me how it works." When you invite them into your challenges, you're giving them the gift of feeling needed and important. The emotional reward here is a more authentic bond, grounded in the understanding that real relationships thrive on openness. Your grandchildren will feel a sense of pride in their ability to contribute, and they'll see you as a multidimensional person rather than a distant, unflappable authority figure. Ironically, they'll respect you more when they realize you trust them enough to reveal your vulnerabilities. This fosters a closeness that's hard to achieve if you're always hiding behind a wall of, "I'm fine." The fourth mistake is something that often goes unnoticed: overly criticizing modern parenting styles. Many grandparents feel they have the real knowledge about raising children based on their own experience. The bold statement here is that criticizing your adult children's parenting methods can harm your relationship with your grandchildren more than you might imagine. The misconception, "I raised my kids just fine. My grandkids' parents should heed my advice without question." The truth is, parenting philosophies and social norms evolve, and direct attacks on your children's style can cause them to limit your involvement with the grandchildren. I recall how James, 79, would openly scoff at the gentle parenting approach his daughter used. He'd say things like, "Back in my day, if you talk back, you got a quick smack on the behind. No wonder kids today don't listen." This led to tense arguments with his daughter, who felt disrespected and alienated. Unfortunately, that tension spread to the grandchildren, who grew uncomfortable whenever James started criticizing their mom. They began avoiding being alone with him, fearing he'd scold them for something they had no control over. The surprising insight is that acceptance and curiosity can keep you closely involved in your grandchildren's lives, even if you disagree with how their parents do things. A simple, actionable step is to ask questions instead of making statements. Instead of saying, "Kids need discipline, not all this coddling," try, "I'm curious about this approach where you talk through feelings. How has that been working for you?" This shifts the energy from adversarial to cooperative. The emotional payoff is huge. When your adult children and grandchildren sense you're open-minded, they're more likely to welcome you into their daily routines, invite you to events, and share their concerns with you. You become a trusted confidant rather than a critic they want to avoid. It's a small shift in mindset, from "I know best" to "I'm here to learn alongside you." But it can radically strengthen your family's intergenerational bonds. If you're still with me and these insights are resonating, please comment 4 below. It helps me know you're finding value in these stories and suggestions. And if this is your first time here, consider subscribing to stay updated. Together, we can explore more ways to keep love and understanding alive across every generation. The fifth mistake is a subtle one, but has a powerful impact: avoiding tough conversations about health, money, or end-of-life plans. The bold statement here is that keeping critical topics off the table can actually create distance rather than protect your loved ones from worry. Many grandparents believe, "I shouldn't burden my family with my concerns." But the misconception is that ignoring these discussions preserves harmony. In fact, it can leave your grandchildren in the dark, uncertain about how to help you or how to prepare for future responsibilities. One example is Robert, 82, who hid his declining health from his grandchildren because he didn't want them to fret. He skipped medical appointments and insisted he was fit as ever. Then one day, he had a health scare that sent shockwaves through the family. His grandchildren felt not only worried but also hurt. They wanted the chance to provide support and reassurance. By bottling everything up, Robert had unknowingly drawn a line between himself and those who cared for him most. The surprising insight is that a willingness to talk about the realities of aging, whether it's drafting a will, choosing a healthcare proxy, or discussing how you feel about moving into assisted living if necessary, can bring families closer. A practical step is to schedule a calm, loving conversation. You might say, I've been thinking about my health, and I want you to know what's going on in case there's ever an emergency. Share your hopes, your fears, and any plans you've made. Invite questions rather than assuming they can't handle the truth. Embracing these discussions offers an emotional benefit that's often overlooked: relief. Your grandchildren will feel a sense of security, knowing you trust them enough to include them in your most important decisions. They'll also have time to emotionally prepare and be a part of the solutions, whether that's driving you to a doctor's appointment or helping you manage errands. Far from creating unnecessary worry, openness can reduce anxiety because everyone knows the plan. That transparency fosters unity across generations. The sixth mistake might feel like an unintentional habit, dwelling on the good old days without connecting to the present. The bold statement is that nostalgia, while comforting, can become a barrier when it overshadows your grandchildren's current reality. We often think sharing how things used to be is a sign of wisdom. But if all our conversations circle back to, in my day, things were so much better, we risk sounding dismissive of the challenges and interests kids face today. Imagine Susan, 76, who was so fixated on comparing everything to her childhood that she rarely asked her grandchildren about their passions. Whenever they brought up their new favorite game or an exciting school project, she'd respond with, "You know, back in my day, we had to make our own fun. We didn't have video games." Her grandkids soon stopped trying to involve her in their hobbies because they knew the conversation would pivot to a nostalgic monologue. The surprising truth is that you can use memories to connect rather than create distance, if you also show genuine curiosity about the present. A practical approach is to link a memory from your past to something your grandchild cares about now. For example, if your grandchild is into online gaming, share a story about how you used to play board games or create scavenger hunts around the neighborhood when you were young. Then ask questions about how their experience differs. What do you find most fun about playing with people online? Do you ever feel it's lonely compared to having friends physically there with you? This shows you value both the past and the present. The emotional benefit here is an enriched conversation that bridges generations. You'll find your grandchildren more eager to share their interests with you, knowing you won't dismiss them in favor of the old days. At the same time, you get to preserve those cherished memories by weaving them into ongoing discussions, rather than presenting them as a lecture about how everything used to be superior. If you've stayed with me all the way through these 6 mistakes, please comment 6 below to let me know you're fully engaged in improving your relationships. And if any part of this discussion stirred a memory or a realization, I invite you to subscribe and share your story in the comments. I promise to keep sharing fresh perspectives and heartfelt advice that can help strengthen the special bond you share with your grandchildren. By now, you've heard about 6 sneaky pitfalls many grandparents tumble into: showering grandkids with too many gifts, trying too hard to act young, hiding your vulnerabilities, criticizing modern parenting, avoiding tough conversations, and overusing nostalgia. Each one can quietly sabotage the very relationships you've spent a lifetime building. But here's the good news: recognizing them is often half the battle. Once you see where you might be going off track, you can shift your approach and recapture the warmth and love you've always wanted to share. So what does life look like if you do take these points to heart? Imagine your grandchildren eagerly knocking on your door, happy to see you, confident that you're not going to judge or smother them, excited to share stories about their day because they know you'll listen without forcing your views. Picture laughing together over a simple meal you cooked as a team, or strolling through a park where they teach you something about the world they live in while you gently weave in insights from decades of your own experiences. The best part is seeing the pride and comfort in their eyes when they realize they can talk to you about anything, whether it's a new game they discovered or a hidden fear that's been weighing on them. That's the vision I want for you. Because if you delay making these changes, if you let yourself slip into criticizing, overgifting, or avoiding serious subjects, you could face the heartbreak of seeing your grandchildren drift away. Time moves swiftly. Before you know it, they'll be grown with their own families, and it might become even harder to mend those bonds. But if you move forward now, you'll create a foundation of mutual respect and understanding that can endure challenges, disagreements, and the natural ebb and flow of life events. Take a moment to picture yourself implementing one of these ideas. Maybe it's asking your grandchild to teach you how to use that new smartphone feature. Or perhaps you decide to replace a pricey present with a shared activity. Do you feel that little spark of excitement? That's hope, and it's a powerful feeling. Embrace it. If one of the points resonated more than the others, focus on that first. Grand transformations often begin with a single, purposeful step. I encourage you to leave a comment sharing which mistake hit closest to home for you. Was it the overgifting, or maybe the reluctance to talk about serious topics? Let us know how you plan to address it in your life. There's something powerful about declaring your intentions publicly. It helps solidify your commitment to change, and it might inspire someone else reading the comments to do the same. If you're comfortable, share a quick story of your own. We're here to listen and learn from each other. This is also a great time to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that notification bell. By staying connected, you're making a pledge to nurture the most important relationships in your life. Don't underestimate the power of your example. When you show your family that you're willing to adapt, grow, and communicate, you lead by example. Even if your grandchildren don't say it outright, they'll notice. They'll remember how grandma or grandpa was always open, curious, and loving, no matter the changes life brought. Above all, trust that you still have the ability to profoundly shape the lives of your grandchildren. Their world may look drastically different from the one you grew up in, but love is timeless. Compassion, understanding, and genuine interest never go out of style. With these in your toolbox, you'll remain a guiding star for your grandchildren, illuminating their path forward in ways that only someone who has lived a full, eventful life can do. Thank you for sharing your valuable time with me today. I truly believe in your power to create a legacy of warmth and wisdom that your grandchildren will cherish long after we're all gone. This is your opportunity to draw closer, to share laughter and tears, to let them see the heart of who you are. Cherish it. Take these lessons to heart and watch the distance melt away, replaced by the kind of closeness that turns ordinary family moments into precious memories. I look forward to hearing your stories, and I'll see you again soon with more insights to help you navigate the beautiful, ever-evolving journey of grandparenthood.